always wanted to serve on a jury.
I'm just really super excited to be here, so I really appreciate having me. I'm looking forward to it.
I mean, a big shout out to the 13th Jury Podcast and Brandi.
Yeah, I applaud you guys. Keep doing what you're doing.
And then I just looked at the jury, and it's sort of like, look.
Hey, it's important work. Come pop in and say, hey, want to talk?
You are a ray of sunshine, and I love what you've done with your YouTube channel.
Hi. Hello. Welcome. Welcome. I am using Streamlabs again today, and I'm going to get it. I've been working on it, and I'm going to get it. And I'm very excited about it because I feel like I'm learning and I'm progressing and I'm teaching myself things because there's more I can do on Streamlabs. So if I mess stuff up today, it's okay. We're going to figure it out together. But I'm glad to see all of you. It's good to see you. I finally got some rest yesterday. I took a nap yesterday, and then yesterday evening my kid came over and we were going to watch the John Adams series on HBO Max, and I made it through like the very beginning, and then I was like snoring, and he was like, you know what, I'm gonna head out, we'll watch this later. But he was very understanding because he knows I didn't sleep the night before, but he slept through most of the storms. But I did finally get some sleep yesterday, so I'm feeling pretty good with it. We're gonna roll with it. But we've got our trial starting tomorrow, and I needed to get the second half of all of the craziness, kind of covered with y'all. I did put out the video yesterday. We did it as a premiere. I wanted to go over all that stuff live. There was no way for me to do it. I was having to kind of, work here and there, around stuff. And so it was easier for me to just put it all together as a video and then, and watch it. So today we're going to do the second half, and we're going to do that part live, and I'm excited. We haven't done a full live in a long time, and I don't know how long we're going to make it today. I know we started a little bit later. I don't know how long we're going to make it today, or how long it's going to take or whatever, but trial starts tomorrow, so we got a lot to cover today. Okay, the only thing with Streamlabs, okay, see how there we go. See how we have a new member. See, I have only been able to figure, I can have it to where it says that. I have not been able to figure out yet how to show the stuff other than how this is. I'm not very good at pointing when it's the wrong direction, am I? Add it to my list of things to work on. But I am, it'll see when we're gifted memberships. Let me see if I can move that a little bit so that we can see it better. It's hard to see, isn't it? Or is it not? Maybe where do you see it easier at? I don't know. We'll have to work on that. I'll work on that. I'll figure it out. See, look, I love that they pop up. But see, now like they pop up automatically. So even if I miss it, when we're going through the stuff, even if I miss it, I made it to where, because sometimes I miss them and that always makes me feel really bad, but I've got it to where they'll pop up. The only thing is I don't know how to, I normally have them pop up and I show it on the bottom. I have not been able to figure out how to do that. So, but at least this way, when things get to going and I miss it, I'll never have to worry about it not being on the screen. And it still says new member instead of anniversary when it's an anniversary. And I don't know how to change that, but you know what? We're working on it. And I put a panda for the thank you. Thank you for everybody's mom for the super chat. And you get a dancing panda because we love pandas here. So pandas are a new obsession too. For those of you who weren't here that day, that was the day we took a field trip to the zoo. I can't remember what was going on, but we had ended trial early or something was early, and we decided to, we were just looking at different live cams, and we ended up on a panda live cam, and my obsession began. I was like, oh my, and like sea turtles were always kind of like, my thing, and don't tell Lucy. I mean, Lucy's obviously, don't tell her. But sea turtles have always been like a thing of mine. And I have like a little collection of sea turtles and stuff. And then I saw the live panda cams and I was like, oh, we have a new obsession. They're so cute. But anyway, Diane Marie member for 2 whole months. I love it here. I love having you here. Dinah Doe member for 8 months. She's one of the OGs. I'm proud of being a 13th year. Love you all. Brandi, you're amazing. 8 whole months. 8 whole months. That's like from the very beginning. Like it's been 8 whole months since I've been doing this. And again, for our baby's mom, thank you for the super chat. Dinah Doe gifted a membership. It went to Cindy Gruber and Jiggly Jules. Welcome to Jur. And Allie B from Tennessee. Up yet. I had my laptop. I've been doing a lot of work from bed on all this stuff. So my laptop is on my bed and I haven't set up my cam, but we can pull up theirs in a little bit. And thank you for the super chat. Thank you. Tina gifted 5 memberships. Let's see. Harley Girl, Veronica Reyes. Oh, it's moving. Christy G, Christine Savage, and Dreamal Andrew all gifted memberships by Tina. Thank you so much, Tina. I appreciate that. And Jen Davka member for 1 whole month. Guys, 1 month of being in the family. Thank you for accepting me and loving me. We accept you and love you, Jen Davka. We are so glad you're here. Happy anniversary to you. Life Lessons has been a member for 8 whole months. Another one of the OG 8-monthers. Happy anniversary to you. Rhodey has been a member for 4 whole months. Love it here. Thanks for all you do, Brandi. Thank you. I'm glad that y'all are here. Y'all really are truly such a bright spot in my days. Is buffering? I'm buffering. Christine Savage says new member too. I don't know why it's buffering. Not sure. Back with the gang. Yay. Oh, and I do have, hold on. I got to press the right button. There we go. Let's see. Sarah Jane's room. Welcome to the family. Welcome. And congrats to our top 3. Getting this party started right. Debbie Long, member for 7 whole months. Happy to be here with Brandi and all. Much love. We are so glad to have you. Jody Allgood, member for 5 whole months. Let's see. Member for 5 whole months. Hold on, let me move some stuff. I don't see buffering. Let me check. Okay. Is that... it's not buffering on my end. Why is it buffering for y'all? Let me see. Because when I'm pulling up my YouTube, it's not buffering. Let me try. Let's see. All right, I'm going to keep an eye on it. I have it over here. Yeah, for some reason, mine's not buffering. Like, I have my YouTube pulled up on a window over here, and it's not doing it. So I'm not really sure. Yeah, that's true. Actually, there are a lot of, the damage that was done around here was crazy. Like, I'm fine. Like, my building had, like, minimal stuff. There were, like, a couple of, like signs that fell and like some yard stuff that was damaged. but mine was fine. Let's see. Let me look at my connectivity. But I do know that... Okay, now I'm back on mine. Let's see if that helps. Let's see if it does it again. That should hopefully... I want to keep it up here so I can watch it, make sure it's not buffering. Maybe that will help. I don't know. Oh, the commands aren't working. Yeah, when I upgraded my Streamlabs thing, I think now we have to redo them. So, look, it's going to be a couple days before we get all this back to where it was, but we'll get through it. All right, so let's see. Oh, I missed some more while I was trying to mess with my neighbor's internet. Don't tell him. Robin, member for 4 whole months. Lucy's so precious. Love you too, Brandi. Really, I know y'all are here to see Lucy, not me, so it's okay. I'm not offended by it. I don't blame you at all. And happy anniversary. And let's see, Birdie61, member for 7 whole months. An honest, poised, and brave host, plus the best YouTube family ever. This is my favorite place to be. Thank you so much. That's so kind of you. I appreciate that. And I'm glad you're here. I appreciate it more than you realize. Happy anniversary. 7 whole months. Chrissy G, member for 5 months. My favorite place to be with the best people ever. Yay, our people are the best people ever, aren't they? I love our little family. Robert McNamara, welcome to the family. Welcome to Jur. Lindsay Hendricks says, I'm here for the Tiki Hut. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Behave. Actually, I looked, I told y'all that they, at the end of the season this year, they ended up putting all of the Tiki Huts together in front of this club over here that has been closed since the hurricane. And so there's like a big old Tiki village over here. And I looked to see if the tornadoes did anything to them, and they all, from here it looks fine. I haven't walked out there. The water yesterday came up higher than I've ever seen, even through the hurricanes. It came up, to me, I think it was probably close to the last hurricane, but it came up even further. And my kid had come over, and I made him come in between the 2 rounds of hurricanes that we had. I made him come down here because the first one was so bad, and they were telling us that the second was going to be worse. Second ended up not being worse, at least here anyway, but I was he was like, I've never seen the water up that high. It got pretty crazy. It got pretty crazy here, but there's a lot of damage done right down the road from me, but it looked, right here it was, we got pretty lucky. About the worst damage is probably about 1.5 miles down the road is the worst damage. Apartments were, almost leveled. There was a, the marina is really damaged. And that poor marina, they just finished redoing everything from Hurricane Michael. And it's bad. So, so prayers to them. We were fine. We got lucky. It did get kind of scary. I could hear the tornado. It was, I don't know if y'all saw the little videos that I posted. One of them was from Schooners cam. Schooners is I've told y'all about Schooners before. I've posted pictures and stuff from there before. It's a restaurant on the beach. One of my closest friends, actually we went to middle school, elementary school, high school, all that together. And we're from the same hometown. And she lives here full time now with her family. And her daughter actually works there. And, we go there all the time and to eat and stuff. And that camera that I showed where you can see, it went out when it was there. But anyway, that's from right down the road from me. And then there was another live cam. I was in the closet watching the live cams, watching all of the live beach cams that were close to me, watching to see what I could see. And there's another restaurant down here that has a camera on each side of its little pier, and so I kept pulling up those. I was literally in the closet with Lucy when I started hearing stuff banging. That's when I started getting really nervous. It got so loud. It was scary. I am normally one that, like, you know, even during hurricanes and stuff, I'll be sitting there like watching out the window like, ooh, this is crazy looking. But this is the first time that it's like scared me enough to get in the closet. I put some blankets and pillows in the closet, and me and Lucy made a little pallet in there. And when she started hearing stuff banging in the hall, she got mad because she thought somebody was in the hall. And, you know, she thinks people are scared of her. I don't have the heart to tell her they ain't, but she thinks people are scared of her. So when she heard stuff banging around the hallway, she wanted to go out there and get them. I was like, our little self would just blow away in the wind. So she wasn't allowed to, but she got mad. But we were fine. It was fine here. It got a little scary that first round, but we were fine. I feel really bad for some of the people right down the street from me though, because it got hit bad down there. So I think me and my mom are going to go this afternoon and take like sandwiches and chips and stuff to like the linemen and the officers and the cleanup crews and stuff like that, and see what we can do to help. So it says Brandi, come back. My thing is showing I'm on here. I have YouTube pulled up in a window over here so I can watch it, and I'm still here. Find me. Follow the sound of my voice. So anywho, that's what we got going on up in these parts. It's been a crazy few days. But yeah, oh yeah, Jimmy Hendricks. Jimmy lost. I saw that we're supposed to be getting bad storms again on Friday. So 2024 has been just starting off with a boom, hadn't it? It's been like, you know, aliens in Miami and tornadoes and Gypsy Rose talking about her boyfriend's parts and whatnot. It's just been, 2024 has been lit. All right, so let's get started on the I don't think it's me. I think it's YouTube. I have it pulled up over here to watch to make sure I don't go missing. And mine is fine. So if I'm like disappearing or something on some of y'all's, maybe refresh, because I'm still showing up on mine. Don't forget the flying criminals, aliens. Haley says I was just thrown into the movie Homeward Bound. Craziness happening. All right, so another plane had to turn around to Portland for another. Is the bingo place all right? As far as I know, it's right across from the marina, but we didn't drive over that way yesterday when we were, me and the kid, when we were out. But I haven't heard that was messed up, but I'm sure he would have told me by now if it was. But I don't know. I've missed a lot. The last few days. There's been so much going on in the world, in my world. All right, so let's talk a little bit about yesterday, and about the trial. Yeah, for those of you who say I'm gone, just refresh. I don't, because I can see on my YouTube where I have it pulled up in the browser that it's still up. So I don't know what YouTube is doing. They're boycotting me today apparently, but if you try to refresh. Tori Seed Lady, member for 5 whole months. Really been here since the beginning. Seeing you cry when members climbed. Show me you are a real one and haven't changed. I live here now. Gosh, yeah. I've had a few ugly cries on camera, which is funny because I'm not normally a crier, but when this little channel started growing, I that just meant so much to me. Seeing the members come in and and subscribers come in and stuff and hang out and want to like go through all of this stuff with it. That means so much because there are so many, channels and you could be anywhere and a bunch of people hop around and that's good too. Like, y'all have seen, I'm big on supporting other creators and, other YouTubers and stuff like that. Like there's enough internet for all of us and I want everybody to, everybody's going to go around and see whoever they want to see. And I think that's great. But knowing that I'm one of those, that I'm one of the ones that you want to come hang out with and come see, that means a lot to me. So, and the one with the little Letitia hair. Oh, I will never live down the Letitia hair. Trying to bring some, some laughter and some lighter moments to some of the heavy stuff. So it helps. I just looked in the camera for the first time and realized I have alfalfa hair. This is... I can make it stand straight up. It looks... Oh, now it looks like an antenna. It's lovely. It's lovely. That's why people keep coming back. Speaking of Letitia hair. All right, so let's talk a little bit. Let me figure out how to change. Here we go. Did I do it? I did it. Look at me go. I am going to, now I got to figure out how to pull up my, oops. There we go. All right, so the video from yesterday. Was so glad Weather Watch posted update and said the tornado missed you. Yeah, it got real bad right down for me, but it did. It missed me completely, which was good. It was scary. But it was good. Mermaid, Mary B. Oh, thank you so much. Please use this to pamper yourself, Brandi. You deserve it. Love from Mermaid and my 4 little pups. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate that. Y'all are the best. Y'all are very sweet. You're so good to me. I'm very thankful for y'all. Y'all really do keep me happy around here. All right. Thank you, Mermaid Mary B. All right, so for those of y'all who missed it yesterday, because our trial starts tomorrow, so we're going to have to get through our second part today, and the second part being basically everything that's happened since the first arrest. I have done a ton of research going into this, pulling stuff because it's so complicated and there's so much in it, and a lot of this stuff, normally, and I mentioned this in the video, normally once you get to the arrest, that's when, a lot of the craziness, that's kind of not the end point, because obviously the trial would be the end point, but, sorry, my kid's texting me. There's so much going on in my world right now. You have no idea. Anyway, normally once you get to the part of where you get to the arrest, that's kind of where the craziness really stops, and then you start the court proceedings. But in this case, so much crazy stuff happened after that. So it has been since the first arrest especially. So the video that we had left off with the first arrest, which was in June. And if you don't know... if you don't know... Sorry. Oh, my life is like a circus right now. Okay, sorry. The video from yesterday had all of the stuff from before. So this all started, of course, I'm not going to go back over everything yesterday. If you haven't seen it and you don't know like the full history, I recommend watching it. I got as much of it in as I could. I mentioned how crazy their divorce was and the divorce filings. The divorce filings on this, when you scroll like on the computer, you know, and you scroll, it's just like you scroll and then you just keep scrolling and keep scrolling and keep scrolling. There are, it was like almost 600 filings in this divorce. It like just going back and forth, like just, you know, really, really hard, like complicated, angry, volatile divorce. You know, obviously also with Fotis having an affair, you know, Michelle, the one who is our defendant, she was the mistress. She was the mistress. And after, you know, Michelle and the 5 kids moved out, he moved the mistress and her daughter into their home. He was also, his whole company was being financed by Jennifer's parents, and then he defaulted on some loans and didn't pay them back on some stuff. So then they ended up suing him. So there was so much craziness going on behind the scenes in this. And then, you know, he got in trouble with the courts for emotional abuse of his children, for, you know, trying to force them to lie. It's just, it got really, really dirty. So by the time all of this happened, so much, you know, had taken place and was kind of building up to it. And it's just, it's so sad. The first arrest was June 1st, I think. Let me look at my notes. Lord, let me don't get it wrong. See, because she went missing May 24th. Let's see. Yeah, June 1st was the arrest for Fotis and Michelle. And the first arrest was tampering with or fabricating physical evidence, and then hindering prosecution in the first degree. Now remember, the first time that they got arrested, there wasn't enough yet to be able to charge them with murder. They had, at that point, you know, they were able to get bloody clothes. They were able to get, you know, his DNA and, you know, fingerprints and stuff like that. Like, they were able to put him at the scene. They were able to put him, you know, they saw that they had the video footage of him dumping all of her bloody, you know, clothes and stuff. The DNA matched hers. So they had all of that, but there wasn't enough evidence yet for to have the charges be for murder. So at this point, June 1st, they're able to arrest him and Michelle, but only for the tampering with or fabricating the physical evidence, and of course hindering prosecution in the first degree. So that first arrest, they were able to bond out because they're not charged with murder yet. These are, you know, these are charges that they have that, you know, are you can't hold them forever on those things. So they were able to bond out. So Fotis was not assisting at all with the, hey Bob. Fotis was not assisting at all with the investigation, but the very first police interview that Michelle did, and I'm pretty sure they will show some of this in the trial. I'm curious to see how much they show and how much we get to hear, because her story changes so much. So the first interview that they did with her was June 2nd. Now, here's what's interesting about all of this. They had tried to contact Michelle several times from the time that Jennifer went missing until the time that she was arrested, and she didn't respond. But on June 2nd was the day after the arrest. She had her first interview with police. So in this interview, she's telling them her version of what happened. The next day, they do, I think it was the next day, right? Let me look at my notes so I don't tell you wrong. Yeah, the next day. The next day, a search warrant was issued for the home where Fotis and Michelle were living, and detectives found a set of handwritten notes that they started calling the alibi script. So the alibi script, it was 2 pages of notes that it was all in Michelle and Fotis's handwriting, and the original written part was found in the trash can, and then they had 2 photocopies that they also found in a briefcase. Oh, it's Ricky Watson's birthday. Happy birthday, Ricky Watson. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. We're glad you're here. This is your birthday party. We just didn't tell you that it was for you. Good morning. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. That's exciting. We figured this is exactly what you wanted to do for your birthday. To just go over murder trial stuff. Right? Isn't that what everybody does on their birthday? That's what I do on mine. Happy birthday, Ricky Watson. Seriously, that's awesome. All right, so this alibi script. The alibi script is important because it basically became the the script that they used to explain to police where they were. Now, the second 2 interviews that Michelle did, her narrative, which the first interview stuck really strictly to this alibi script that they had written out. The second 2 interviews, as they're telling them, as they're telling her, like, hey, we have evidence that you're lying. So the second 2 interviews, she started to kind of change her story a lot and change it. And we're going to go over the arrest warrant too today, because I think that gives some of the most information. But she starts to change her story up a lot, which of course is going to make her look, even more suspicious. Anytime somebody starts, changing their story, it's going to look suspicious. But also when she's giving verbatim the way that she's describing what happened that day, and she's giving verbatim what they found written on this alibi script. And then Fotis is, like his handwriting's on there too. He's giving this exact same stuff. They not only do they have the same story verbatim, but it's written, they have it written out. Like, if that's not like hour by hour, and if that's not suspicious, then I don't know what is. Now, she says that the reason that it was written out is because they had talked to the attorney who said, go ahead and, make notes of everywhere you were and everything you did. Which would make sense. That makes total sense. But this wasn't all factual stuff. That's the problem. There were things on there that they were able to prove weren't true, that went against what they had said before. And so this isn't just writing out what you did. This is writing out some of what you did and some of what you're just saying that you did in order to provide an alibi. And that's where the problem comes in this case. Jessica for Justice, welcome. Hi. We love Jessica for Justice. So that's where that comes in. Now, on the second interview, and we're going to watch some of the clips and stuff too in a minute, but on the second interview that Michelle did, it was June 6th, so this is a few days after they found those alibi notes. I can't wait to see the alibi notes. I can't wait for them to talk about that. I can't wait to hear what they have to say about that. I think it's going to be so interesting. But she says that like I said, that she was present for a phone call between Fotis and the attorney. Let me see. I made notes so I don't get too off track, because y'all know how I get. The attorney told Fotis to write out the precise timeline of his actions on Wednesday, which was the date of his last visit with the kids, because some of that visit was done at Jennifer's home. Now, this is something that is going to come up too, because remember, we hear him saying a lot about telling the guy who worked for him that he borrowed his Tacoma, telling Tacoma guy, hey, you need to change your seats. Like, get new seats and put the other ones to where nobody ever finds them. He says that that last visit that he had done on that Wednesday, because she went missing on the Friday, was done in part at her house. So the thing is, he had gone to the house because whatever park or whatever it was he was planning on taking the kids to for his visit, because remember, they're all supervised. Whatever place he was planning on taking them to was closed early for the holiday stuff. So he didn't have somewhere to take them for the visit. So he ended up going back to the house, but he never went inside the house. That was something that Jennifer absolutely was like, you ain't coming in here. Like, hold up, partner. Don't even cross the threshold. So the person who was doing the, monitoring the visit was there, and they ended up doing I think a picnic type thing out on the back patio, but he never entered the home. He was never allowed to come inside the home. So even with his DNA and everything being found inside the home, even with that picnic thing where he had done that visitation, there would be no reason for his DNA or anything to be inside of there. So that was a big deal too, because again, if your DNA is showing up in a mixture with hers and on the door that just happened to be unlocked when the friend / nanny got there, it's all coming against him. But he, I think, was hoping to use some of that as his excuse to explain away some of the evidence against him. So anyway, she said that the attorney instructed them to write down if they entered the home or not, or if he had entered the home or not. And so during this second interview, she tells police that she was actually surprised when Fotis had said that he had gone to Jennifer's that day, because apparently he told her that the visit was going to be at Grace Farms in New Canaan, which is where they were supposed to go, but it's where they got, they basically got kind of booted from there because they closed early, so he wasn't able to. So according to Michelle, she said that Fotis told his attorney that he did not go into the house, but that he hugged the kids, they played, and he said, I don't know if a hair went in. So at this point, you can tell that he's already kind of trying to establish an alibi, or not an alibi, but like an explanation as to why some of his DNA went in there. Now he's thinking, they're talking about this like, oh, well, maybe he has a hair that's in there. One of his hairs had come in, but it's not a hair that they found. It was his, they found a mixture on the faucet of, his DNA and hers. It wasn't from a hair. So, but he's trying to explain stuff away about like, oh, well, maybe, one of my hairs got in her house, and maybe one of her hairs got into the Tacoma that he had driven. It just basically trying to come up for explanations. But that's the first time that Michelle, that second interview that she did on June 6th, that was the first time that Michelle apparently had told police that she was surprised about something that Fotis had lied to her about. She said that she told police that after that call, she confronted Fotis about the Wednesday visit, since he said that it wasn't what he had told her and had happened, and that at that point he admitted that he had gone to Jennifer's. They ate outside, but he also told her that he hadn't entered the house. And then something detectives noticed too, especially because of the alibi sheets or alibi script or whatever, as they're going through all of their moment by moment of what they did with police. Of course, they left off their little tour of, the neighborhood tour of garbage cans all along Albany Avenue. Neither of them told police about that. Now, obviously, we've seen the video. If you watched my video yesterday too, we've seen the video, we've seen the evidence of them going from trash can to trash can, and he's dumping all those bags that ended up being bloody clothes and cleaning products and bloody cleaning products, mops and sponges and stuff like that. We saw him disposing of all of this, and we saw him going along that road, but they left that whole thing off of their entire, moment by moment play of what they had been doing. So, of course, with police knowing that's what they did and them not saying, by the way, we went and saw 30 of, the most famous trash cans in Hartford, Connecticut, I guess now they're 30 of the most famous trash cans in Hartford, Connecticut. So they also asked Michelle if Fotis was telling her what to say, and she said that he was telling her to say it, but was trying to just tell her to say it because he was just trying to be more accurate. But she said, and this is the first sign of her kind of slipping a little bit with Fotis, she said that he was trying to fill things in that she didn't remember with things that weren't true. So already during the second interview, she's kind of realizing that, they know more than she originally thought or hoped. And she's kind of like, well, he told me to say this. And, I didn't remember this, so he told me to say this, which is interesting. So she kind of changed up her story a lot during her interviews. One of the things that was one of the biggest parts too, they had, here, let me change this while we're not watching this. So I can use this extra screen for a minute. One of the things that was really interesting, she had, hold on, let me find it. Because I can't remember the name, and I probably say it wrong. That's okay too. Oh, okay. So the answer about the alibi from that morning. So the alibi from that morning obviously is going to be a huge deal. And this is part of the alibi script. And this is part that was, proven wrong. Remember when I said, when we were going over all of this stuff initially, I said that they had a location. They had location information from his phone. So that's how they were able to put him on Albany Avenue going through and doing all of that stuff, right? Well, they noticed that his phone didn't show him in the area in the morning, which is when she would have gone missing. So that was one thing that they were, that they noted. They were like, okay, well, he's, going along here, but he's not showing that he was there in the morning. So let's talk about that, because that's a huge part of this whole thing. Lucy's sitting over there in the window watching the waves. She's so cute. Anyway, the morning of what happened in the alibi notes, the original alibi was that they woke up at 6:40 in the morning. That's when they woke up in the mornings. She turned off the alarm. They showered together and had a moment, an intimate moment. And then she made breakfast, drove her daughter to school and all that. So that was the original. That's what was in the alibi notes, right? So when they pressed her on this, she said, well, maybe he wasn't there the whole morning, but I saw him in the office at 8:15. So she said that she saw Fotis in the office at 8:15. Now remember, the office that he has for his business is at their home. It's like a big office above the garage of their home. So he runs the business out of the home. And she said that she saw him in the office at 8:15 with Kent, his friend Kent, friend/former attorney, longtime friend, the other one who got arrested. So she said that she saw him at 8:15. So according to her, she saw him at 6:40 in the morning when they had a moment in the shower. And then she saw him again at 8:15 in the office. So if that were the case, there's no chance for him to get 70 miles away to go do all this and then get back by 8:15, right? A tiki hut moment. That's the perfect way to describe it, yes. They had a tiki hut moment in the shower, allegedly, that morning. Let me take a drink. Y'all are stressing me out. Stressing me out. Okay. Anywho, so that was her story. She was sticking to it. She saw him at 8:15 in the office with Kent. Now, we talked a little bit about Kent. I didn't put it in the video yesterday because, or maybe I did. I don't even remember what all I put in the video yesterday. I worked on it, so chopped up the last few days, just kind of as I had time. But I did I put him in the video yesterday? I don't know. We talked about him the first time. The first time we went over some of this, like some of the background of this. But anyway, so he was in the office at the 4 group, right? So she said, Michelle told police that she saw Kent and Fotis at 8:15 in the office for a meeting. And then she was like, but I wasn't home from 9 o'clock till 11:30. So I don't know where he was or what happened then. I wasn't home. Now, when they asked her to clarify again, like, because they're pushing, because they know that he wasn't home. So they're asking her to clarify if he was home or not. And she wouldn't answer. She just started telling them everything that she had been doing. And she finally said, so I don't know, maybe he wasn't home. So he is, what are the snowmen? What are the snowmen? What am I missing? What are the snowmen for? What do those stand for? Is that another thing I don't know about? You kids today. You kids today in your language. I don't know what that means. Oh, let's see. Oh, it's snowing here. Is that it? Oh, I thought it was like, oh, you're frozen. I look over and I see a ton of snowmen and I'm like, oh my gosh, am I frozen? Am I frozen? Do you see me now? Do you see me now? I thought that's what it meant. I didn't know y'all were just talking about being cold. Ignore me. Carry on. It's another great gang sign. Yeah, that's what I thought it was, like a creator gang sign, like a symbol. Like y'all are trying to like tell me something. Never mind. All right. When Brandi doesn't focus, I sure can't. Yeah. Welcome to my world. That's how my whole life is. So anyway, the second interview, she was saying that they woke up at 6:40, but when they told her that they had evidence that he wasn't there, she basically just tried to kind of like hide her face, change the subject, ignore it, not, acknowledge it. She just basically was like, oops, like my bad. So finally, she did tell them, okay, I didn't actually see him until sometime around lunch that day. So around 1 or 2. So that, of course, was huge for them because now they finally have her admitting she didn't see him that morning. He doesn't have the alibi that he's claiming to have. Now, something else that came up during that interview was that Michelle was telling detectives that her and Fotis apparently fight all the time because of the tension from the divorce between Fotis and Michelle. And she said that Fotis had told her that he had never seen this side of Michelle before and said that he couldn't believe that she would do this to him. And that even before all of this happened, that he had said, sometimes I wish she would just disappear. So the fact that she's now telling this, it's kind of looking like, this is going to be, she very immediately was, pretty quickly was able to turn around and be like, you know what, like, let me just go ahead and tell y'all a little bit more about Fotis than I wasn't going to tell you before. Now that I know y'all have evidence, let me go ahead and change my tune a little bit. The third interview was done in August. And by that time, Michelle told detectives that she was ready to admit that she hadn't been honest. She finally told them the truth that Fotis was not home at 6:40 when she woke up and turned her alarm off. They had not showered together or had a moment. She said that she didn't see him in the office at all, and in fact didn't see him until he called her to have lunch that day. So there were other details that changed over time too. The office meeting between Fotis and Kent. So let's talk a little bit about that. The office meeting between Fotis and Kent was supposedly happening at 8:15. Now, one of the things that was important was, like I mentioned, that phone not showing the location of Kent or of Fotis being at Jennifer's house, right? So Kent is in his office and Fotis's phone is there. So there was apparently a phone call that Fotis had set up with his like longtime friend, or childhood friend from Greece or whatever, had told him to call him that next morning at whatever time it was, like 8:25 or something like that. So he calls him, the childhood friend from Greece calls at 8:25 in the morning. At that time, Mistress Michelle and Kent are in the office at the house, like in the garage office for 4 group. They are in there, and that phone rings, and depending on who's telling the story, Michelle said that Kent told her, well, aren't you going to answer that? And she said that she answered it. Now, Kent says, why would I have told her to answer that? Like, I didn't have, like that's somebody else's phone. I wouldn't have told her. She says that she only answered it because he told her to. He says he didn't tell her to. But regardless, they were both there. The phone rang, and she answered it. So now here they are with Fotis having a 17-second answered phone call from his home office at the time at 8:25, when is the time that she allegedly, or not allegedly, but the time that, whatever happened to her in that garage was happening. So that was another part of trying to get his alibi. That was a huge, huge thing for them to know too, because it explains how he had, how he was able to get there and do all of this and still have an answered phone call on his phone. Thank you for the gifted memberships. Shraz, let's see. Thank you. Let's see. Janice Smith. Shraz, Lonnie, is it Lonnie? Lonnie. We'll go Lonnie. Carrie and Alyssa were all gifted memberships. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Y'all are the best. Thank you. So that explains how he had the answered phone call, right? So that's going to be a big deal. Now, Michelle had also attempted to provide a tight alibi for herself. So she dropped an item off to a friend in person, and then she was taking selfies at a Stop and Shop, and she was, then she stopped by to meet another friend before she went home. So she had 2 friends that were able to say that they saw her in person that day, plus selfies at a Stop and Shop, plus she was even, when they were asking her about her whereabouts that morning, they said that she didn't actually try to answer them. Instead, she said that she had locations that were substantiated by pictures and texts on her phone. So normally if police ask you, well, where were you that morning? You're going to say, okay, well, I did this and I did this. And they asked her, well, where were you that morning? And she's like, I have locations that were substantiated. That's obviously not too normal. She's not one you would want to have as a ride or die. She kind of not so great at, of course, neither is Fotis. They're both like really bad at all of this, but whatever. So she didn't answer them about where she was. She said that her locations were substantiated. And in one interview she gave, she was even giving a description of her clothes without them asking her anything. She was like, oh, you'll be able to see me on the camera. I was wearing this and this and this. And then they said that the details that she was giving about the time of her lunch that she had with Fotis changed, based on the interviews. That kind of changed a little bit going, as she went. That didn't really seem too consistent. But I don't think it changed like a ton, but it wasn't consistent. And then the way that we had watched a little bit of that clip today, and we'll watch some of it today too in a minute, but remember we talked about the coffee thing, and we watched her trying to explain the coffee. So the time of her lunch with Fotis that she was talking about, she talks about having lunch with Fotis, and then they went to go clean one of the properties of the 4 group that day with Fotis, and that's how they were going to be kind of explaining away some of the stuff. Now, remember on the video yesterday, I said that they went to that property, And there was a few hours of a lot of driving back and forth. Like, they were caught on camera leaving, going out, and then going back, and then going, like a lot of driving back and forth. And we'll see that when they show the video surveillance and stuff during the trial. But when the guy who owns the Tacoma, when he showed up there, and they were like, "Oh, we're just here to clean the place," and he was like, "Okay," but they didn't have any cleaning supplies with them, and they didn't have anything in their hands. They were out by their cars, but they didn't have any in their cars either. So they were allegedly there to clean the place, but it wasn't clean, and nobody had, they didn't have any cleaning products. So the whole thing is kind of, again, looks like to be just their attempt at an alibi. So that property that they were at, she says that this is kind of how she tries to explain away her DNA being on some of the items that were found in the garbage bins along that road, because she said that while they were at that house cleaning, it's the Mountain Spring Road house, Fotis came inside looking for paper towels because he said that he had spilled coffee in the Tacoma. She said that when he came back, he handed her the paper towels that he had apparently used to clean up this coffee, and she said that she threw it away for him, and that's how her DNA was on it. She said that it was, the paper towels were like brown looking, and they were like, "Okay, but did it smell like coffee?" And she said it did not smell like coffee. So take that how you will. If that's, her taking paper towels that it was really blood and not coffee, or, whatever. So I guess, once again, her explanations as to, how things are happening are just all very questionable, at best. So she also said that they drove back and forth between that house and their home, which, again, we saw a lot of that in the video evidence in both the Jeep and the Suburban, but the timing that she gave was off compared to the cell phone location data. So, which shows Fotis at the Mountain Spring house from 1:36 until 4:07, so about 2.5 hours. So it shows that Fotis was staying at the house, and she kept making trips. Now, here's the thing here's where some of the conspiracy theories can kind of run wild. If Fotis is at that house that entire time, and she keeps making trips, where was she going? And what was she doing? Why was she going back and forth? That is something that makes me wonder. And we've never found the body. So I have to wonder, is that something that... Did it have something to do with that? Or, I don't know. It almost makes me wonder, like, was he, was this a point of him, like, dismembering something, and she was taking, I don't know. I don't want to speculate, but I can't help but wonder if this is part of what was happening, and that's why she was moving so much, but his phone location showed that he never left. So I don't know. Interesting stuff, though. All right, so let me see what else we have that was just stuff with the main stuff that came out from her interviews and everything. Let me see if I missed anything. And then we're going to watch some of the clips that are so interesting. He did interviews and stuff, too. Well, here says zip his lips. There's a few things I want to watch that are kind of interesting. Let's see what else I have missed. A lot of this stuff I'm looking at my notes. Sorry, give me a second. A lot of this stuff I put in the video from yesterday. I just want to make sure that... let me see some stuff. So Kent did get arrested too. So let's talk for a minute about Kent. Kent was the one who was at the office, who was a friend of his, and we believe part of the attempt to provide an alibi. So his name also appeared in the alibi scripts, and Michelle had mentioned him in the interviews, being there in the office that morning. He was interviewed by police on June 9th and then again on the 25th. He said that he had only met Michelle about like within the past month of before all of this happened, like within the past month of all this happening. And he said that he was at their home when Jennifer went missing and that there was no scheduled meeting. So now he's saying that there was no scheduled meeting, but Fotis had told the guy Powell, who owns the Tacoma, he had told him that there was a scheduled meeting. And that's why he told him, go ahead and take, my truck, the Raptor. He said, go ahead and take it home. You can drive it tomorrow straight to work. Don't come to my house because I have a meeting, with the family attorney. Now, Powell was an attorney. He was Fotis' former attorney, but they were friends. Like he wasn't having like, this isn't like an actual attorney meeting. This is like him having his, friend there. But he says it was never scheduled. But Fotis said the day before to Powell, the guy who owns the Tacoma, that there was a scheduled meeting. So, and I think there was, because obviously that's how he was trying to set up his alibi. So he said that he never saw Fotis that morning. And then in his second interview, that story changed, and Kent told investigators that there was a prearranged meeting with Fotis. So he, again, it's like as they are kind of realizing that police know more than they originally had thought, they're kind of like, okay, well, all right, got me. So he told them that there was a prearranged meeting, and he said that he didn't see him that day. He arrived about 7:40 and left sometime around 8:20, 8:30, somewhere in that area. He said that he didn't talk to Fotis all that day, but phone records show that Fotis had called him about 7:45 that night. So, interesting there. But Kent told police that the day after Jennifer's disappearance, he had fallen down some steps, and he said he ended up getting a concussion, and he had to replace his phone because the screen was damaged. So his old phone is gone, so they can't do any kind of analysis on it. That part is curious. I don't know that, and maybe somebody in here, if you know more about this specific part than I do. He says he got a concussion. Would there should be medical records on that, right? I'm wondering if I just think it's a little convenient that all of a sudden, like the day after all of this happened, you all of a sudden don't have your phone anymore. Like, I mean, maybe I'm just too suspicious, but to me, maybe I've seen too many trials and crime shows, but to me, that's just a little bit, too convenient. So, but anyway, he said he didn't have his own phone. Now he is, we talked about this the first day that we kind of started going into a little bit of this, but, he said that he, he was estranged from his wife at the time. He was accused of spousal sexual assault and disorderly conduct. He ended up getting arrested again for violating the protection order that she had in place against him after that. And she went to police and said that she feared that Fotis and Kent were working together to kill her. So now here's another estranged wife who is like, hey, these two guys are, like in cahoots and trying to kill me. So I think that's also kind of telling. Now, after she went missing, a shallow grave was found at a secluded property that he owned. It's called the Windsor Rod and Gun Club, and it had 2 bags of lime in there, which deteriorates bodies, and it also had a blue tarp. And his cell phone data showed that he had gone to the property and he was apparently trying to figure out how to get in, because he founded the club, but then he left it, so he didn't have a key to get in anymore, didn't know how to get in. And he said that he was told about a hidden key, and then when there were hunters that had found that shallow grave, and when they realized that he was tied to that whole situation, they called police and told them. Police took like the cadaver dogs out there, and they didn't hit on it. Like, so it didn't seem like there had never been any bodies, or anything that had been there, but it was interesting that it was there. Doesn't it also make you wonder, though, if his wife was right and he had been planning on doing something to her? Doesn't it make you wonder a little bit if, like, the possibility if that could have been for her, or if she was just, nervous and this was all, and with them never finding the body too, it also makes me wonder about, having the lime in there, because that deteriorates bodies. So it's all just kind of brings up more questions. But anyway, he was accused of creating a fake alibi for Fotis, of course, being in that meeting and stuff. Now, he was taken back into custody in October of 2022 for messing with his ankle monitor, and he was able to eventually bond out, but he was on house arrest until May of 2023. Now he's no longer on house arrest, but he does still have the ankle monitor. So we will probably be hearing from him. I believe he has agreed to testify, if I'm not mistaken. So it'll be interesting to hear what he has to say. Now, a lot of craziness happened between the time of that first arrest in June until now. The attorney that he had was very interesting, for lack of better words. I want to watch a few things. So let me get some stuff pulled up. Let's do... the... we're going to get to this stuff too, but he does end up doing... We're going to watch some of the clips, but just to give you like the rest of what kind of... how we end up, because I've seen a couple people asking. He gets arrested, or they get arrested for originally tampering with evidence. They are able to change this to murder charges eventually. He is able to bond out, but he has like an emergency bond hearing, which basically means he violated a bunch of terms and they're going to lock him up. And he knows that. So he ends up, Fotis ends up not going to that. And they track him on his ankle monitor, see that he's still at home. They come there and he has put himself inside the garage with carbon monoxide into the car. So he, is trying to take his own life, because he said he left a note saying that he just couldn't stand to spend another day in jail for something that he didn't do. So whatever. Anyway, he ends up taking his own life. He was on life support. It took him like 2 days. He was still alive when they got there, but it took like 2 days, but he didn't make it. But we'll watch some of that stuff too. But his attorney ends up saying that, and this is why they started calling this the Gone Girl, real life Gone Girl case. His attorney basically has this moment where he's saying, oh, this is just her way of trying to frame him, because there's not even a body. We don't even know. They had said that somebody just dropped off those clothes on his porch and he just had to go dispose of them. And then that, this was all Jennifer doing this because she wanted to frame him for murder. This is like a real life Gone Girl case, and she's wanting to frame him for murder because their divorce is so bad and she's mad. Which is, interesting. So let's watch a couple of the let's see, there's a few things that we could watch, because I have a few things saved. There's a lot of them are pretty short, like 4 or 5 minute interviews and stuff like that. Let's see. But then there's some that are a little bit longer. Let's watch some of the short ones first, just to kind of see some of this stuff. And then we will watch a little bit of, I'll kind of let y'all decide which of some of the longer stuff that we watch. I'm trying to find the one of his attorney that's... Fotis Dulos attorney.
Good evening.
Here we go. All right. Yay, I swapped it. All right.
Everyone, thank you for coming out. Welcome to our place.
This is his, let me boost the sound a little bit. This is his attorney talking about this is a press conference talking about the murder charge.
As you know, Mr. Dulos was arrested today and charged with 3 counts: murder, felony murder, and kidnapping. Michelle Troconis was arrested. We've not seen her warrant, but I believe she was charged with murder as well. Additionally, one of Mr. Dulos's prior lawyers, Kent Mawini, was arrested, and we believe he was charged with conspiracy to commit murder. We are obviously chastened by the fact that the state thinks there is sufficient evidence to pursue Mr. Dulos for such serious crimes. But frankly, we are very encouraged by our preliminary review of the warrants. Very little was disclosed today that is new. And what was exposed was a shocking lack of confidence by the state in its case. Charging both murder and felony murder sounding in kidnapping suggests that the state's not sure what theory it's pursuing. Additionally, early in the case, much was made in the warrants of difficulties Mr. Dulos was having concluding the divorce with his ex-wife. That is surprisingly absent from the most recent warrant. Instead, the motive seems to be changed now to that of a financial crime, with the theory that Mr. Dulos might potentially be in a position to serve as executor or trustee of a fund maintained for the benefit of his children. We categorically deny that Mr. Dulos had any involvement in the disappearance of his wife, Jennifer, and we defy the state to prove that she is in fact dead. As far as we're concerned, Mr. Dulos is not guilty, and the warrants served today come as a great relief to us. They come as a relief because after months of listening to innuendo, suggestion, and rumor, we now have something to shoot at, and we intend to begin firing those shots at Mr. Dulos' bond hearing tomorrow morning. Additionally, the thing we found most disturbing today was the treatment of Mr. Dulos by the Connecticut State Police. Ms. Troconis was given an opportunity through her counsel to arrive, to turn herself in at her leisure, or at least given notice that the police were en route. But for our having received a tip from someone in the state police, the police would have arrived at Mr. Dulos' home before we did. But we got there first. And then when we arrived, we were told he would be taken to the state police barracks in Bridgeport, and that we would be given a copy of his arrest warrant affidavit there. We waited in the lobby for more than 3 hours to see Mr. Dulos and to get a copy of his warrant. In the meantime, Mr. Troconis' lawyer waltzed in and was immediately shown and given access to his client. We were told that we weren't going to get a copy of the affidavit until the state police press officer finished writing a press release. We raised questions about that and ultimately received the affidavit. Then we were told we could talk to Mr. Dulos on the phone later. They had to get him out of the room, and when we went outside, we saw all of your cameras were pointed at their sally ports, suggesting they were going to try to spirit him away without a meeting with us. We demanded treatment similar to that Mr. Troconis received, and we ultimately got it. So, the state of Connecticut's picked this fight. The state of Connecticut sought a gag order. The state of Connecticut has thrice now driven a dagger into the presumption of innocence and into the heart of Mr. Dulos by accusing him of scandalous crimes. We are confined and constrained in what we can say at this point, so we'll simply leave it at this. If this is all the state's got, we wonder why it bothered. We are very confident in our odds at trial, and we look forward to meeting these allegations in open court beginning tomorrow morning. Having said that, we can take, I guess, some limited questions. So who's got one?
Can you talk about Mr., let's say his name for me, please, Mawini? Are you concerned that a fellow attorney's been charged? How does this affect your case?
Mr. Mawini has been charged. It's not apparent to us from reading Mr. Dulos' warrant why. We're going to review his warrant, Mr. Mawini's warrant, this afternoon. It is an extraordinary thing to charge a member of the bar with a crime, especially a crime as serious as conspiracy to commit murder. Mr. Mawini was an important part of our defense. We believe he was with Mr. Dulos that morning. it's easy to charge conspiracy. But now that he's been charged, he's going to be testimonially unavailable to us, at least for the time being. So we're concerned that this witness has been placed off limits.
Will Mr. Dulos be able to post the $6 million bond?
We believe that friends and family members will be, we've been in touch with the bondsman, and we believe that he will work with the bondsman to post bond tomorrow or shortly thereafter.
How does he have the money for that?
Well, I mean, that's really none of your business, is it? I mean, how did you have the money to get here today? How did you have the money to dress as well as you do? I mean, just because he's making the bond doesn't mean you have a right to know his financial affairs. Next question.
What was his mood when you spoke to him?
I don't talk about my communications with clients. Anyone else?
Does Mr. Mawini have separate attorneys, and are you coordinating with them, or do you not coordinate with them?
I don't know what he's going to do about counsel. Candidly, that was the only time we've been surprised in this file. We did not contemplate an arrest of Mr. Mawini.
And what do you think made them charge today? Was there something new, or was it just they're after the holidays, they have their stuff together?
If there's something new, they didn't tell us about it because the only thing that was new was the decision to arrest Mawini, and Mawini plays virtually no role of substance in the Dulos warrant. I know Rich Colangelo. I've known him for 25 years. I know him to be a thorough, decent, conscientious civil servant. I believe he waited until he could put together his best possible case, and this is the best he has to offer. Frankly, I'm relieved that it's just what we've seen.
You say despite Jennifer's DNA blood evidence found on multiple things in the traffic case in Albany, in the garage, on vehicles, that you believe she is still alive?
I don't know whether she's dead or alive. There's circumstantial evidence that she may well be dead. I've got to see the quantity of that. I've shaken a number of your hands today, and odds are that some of my DNA is on some of the pens being used to take these notes. I'm alive. Transfer DNA is easy to accomplish. So thank you all for coming out. I'm sorry we were uncivil and didn't have enough space to provide you with a heated location, but come to court, we'll generate some heat there. See you tomorrow.
So one thing he said about how, like, with them to change it from the original charges to the murder charges, he said, there was nothing new. Keep in mind, that last interview that Michelle did, where she gave more information, was in August. And they also had the medical examiner, his or her, I don't know who the medical examiner was. I have it in notes somewhere, I'm sure. But the medical examiner said, and I believe that was also in August, if I remember right, that's when they said that the injuries that were sustained based on the amount of blood and stuff like that, and like the injuries that were sustained were not survivable. So that makes it go from, that can make it go from a missing person to a murder. If they're seeing that much blood on all of that stuff, and you have a doctor saying, if there's this much blood on all of this stuff, that's not survivable injuries, then that can make it so that there is reason to believe it's murder.
Good evening, everyone.
Instead of just a missing person. All right, let me find... All right, this is just a short one, too. This is when... oh, I realized my leg's right here covering Lucy. Oops. This is one of his attorneys speaking after he got bail.
All right, first and foremost, I want to take the opportunity to thank the judicial marshals who have made this process, which was a long process and had some bumps in the road, as easy as it could be. They were the hallmark of professionalism, and we really want to express our gratitude to them. We are happy that this part of the process is over. Mr. Dulos is going to be coming out shortly and heading home, and we're happy to have that happen. He is relieved, as you might expect, and we are looking forward to the process of now defending this case. Going forward in court, as you all know, there is a gag order in place. I'm not going to talk about the evidence any more than we have already done so at this point until the Supreme Court decides exactly what the limits are of what we can and cannot say. Mr. Dulos is not going to be addressing the court today, and so this is going to be our last time that we are speaking to you for the day today. Okay, he's going to be coming out shortly and heading home.
Kevin, can you talk a little bit about the process and what the holdups were?
really just a paperwork holdup. It's nothing of any consequence. Relieved to be going home, as anybody would in this circumstance. Also chastened by the circumstances that we now find ourselves in, but finally able to address this head on in a courtroom, which we are looking forward to. The man lives in a rural area. I got one in my garage as well. Sorry? I'm not going to talk about the evidence. Anybody else? There's nothing else substantive. I appreciate it. I'm sorry to keep y'all out here in the cold.
Thank you.
Hey, Judge Blau, we did reduce the
attorney.
conditions of bail, that is the non-financial conditions. I'm disappointed that he didn't completely remove the GPS. Therefore, I will be going back to the appellate court. There is absolutely no reason given by the state that she poses either a danger to anyone in the world or that she's a flight risk. Therefore, I continue to believe that those conditions are unnecessary and in fact unconstitutional. Now, the judge is issuing a written memorandum. He may in fact reduce the restrictions even more. At least she doesn't have to report to any probation officer, which I always maintained was illegal. She's not on probation. She's innocent of any charges, and therefore requiring anyone to report to probation and have to have weekly meetings either by telephone or in person is unlawful. I will be filing within the next 10 to 14 days a motion for review to the appellate court, asking that court to review whether or not the additional conditions are necessary. Unfortunately, this is baby steps. We move forward bit by bit, and from that perspective, I'll just be plugging along till we end this situation and Michelle is exonerated. I'm just going to say one other thing. Attorney Colangelo brought up and made an accusation which was utterly false, that I had somehow violated some kind of court order by allowing members of the media to see documents that I filed with the court. I will state categorically, if something is filed with the court and it's not otherwise privileged or protected, the state or the police do not have the right to keep the public from knowing that. I am not simply disclosing information that has been given to me that I have to keep in confidence. This was information given to the judge on Monday after it was given to the court and to the state's attorney's office. It was released publicly. If the state wants to file a motion requiring all of you to have to walk into the clerk's office and individually take pictures of every page of every document that I have filed, so be it. But until he does that, I intend to continue to make public what I can, when I can, and it's all within the course of the law, and there is nothing improper about it. I just don't know why the state continues to try and hide information from me and my client. And I will keep moving ahead till I get all of that information. Thank you very much.
Counselor, what do you make of the state's attorney asking for sanctions? Do you think he's trying to silence you? I mean, these are public records, as you point out.
I don't want to, whether he's trying to silence me or not, that isn't going to happen. So if that's the way Mr. Colangelo intends to operate as the new chief state's attorney, he's going to have a very rough ride in that role. I have always gotten along and have always had a good, cordial relationship with the state's attorneys in all of the districts around the state, including, I want to emphasize, including when Mr. Colangelo was here as the state's attorney. Now he's the chief state's attorney. I believe that it was solely done as a stunt, and I'm not going to fall for it. It's certainly not going to silence me.
Attorney Schoenhorn, how important was it for you to release the full video of the images on Albany Avenue and in Hartford?
When you say the videos are hours long. It is very clear that if I want to file something in the court, I have to do it in small video files of 20 megabytes or less at a time. The fact of the matter is there are over 30 videos, it's just showing traffic going by. It does not, I want to emphasize, does not show either any stops by Fotis Dulos, or more importantly, my client doing anything to assist in that. I'm hoping, I was just given a bunch of documents today, I'm hoping that at least it includes the DNA material. If it does, and it says what I think it does, I will be filing a motion including that information in that particular, with that information. And unless Mr. Colangelo files some kind of a protective order, I will make sure that is available to each and every one of you. Thank you.
The clip that you filed of Ms. Troconis' interview with the state police in August of 2019, what's the significance of that clip?
Well, it wasn't what you put it on TV about. The purpose was to show that in the third warrant, the detective claimed that when Ms. Troconis said she was handed a piece of paper towel that Mr. Dulos had used allegedly to clean the seat inside the...
This is the paper towel that we were talking about that where she said that this is how she got her DNA. She was trying to explain to police that this is how her DNA ended up on there because he used a paper towel to clean up coffee and then handed it to her. That's what he's talking about.
Tacoma, that she said, and this is in the warrant, that she said it did not smell like coffee. Now, if the purpose of that was to suggest, well, if it doesn't smell like coffee, it must have smelled like something odd, such as, I don't know, blood, then that was a deliberate misrepresentation of fact, because what's clear, she said, I did not smell it. And she gesticulated by showing she did not bring the paper towel up to her face. Now, I don't know what kind of coffee that detective may be drinking, but if you all try that yourself, you let coffee spill on a paper towel, it dries, it's simply brown stained paper towel. It doesn't smell like anything. So it's a deliberate misrepresentation, but that's just one. This is not our defense. This is to point out that whatever the government and the prosecutor was and the law enforcement agents were saying is simply, to a certain extent, untrue or misleading, and therefore the case is weaker than when this judge signed the warrants. So the more I can chip away piece by piece, again, this is not the time for me to put on my defense. This is not even the motions to suppress or dismiss based on false information. I think you heard the judge make reference to Franks, which is a U.S. Supreme Court case, Franks versus Delaware, where you get a hearing, and at that hearing, the state can justify why they made false statements in the warrants. And that's the time for that, not now.
John, is she still on a curfew?
There was a suggestion made by the state that Mr. Bowman had waived jurisdiction in the case. If that issue was addressed, as you'll know, it was only addressed very briefly. The judge just wanted to know what the issue was. If it was addressed, I was prepared to have Mr. Bowman testify that he never waived jurisdiction either on the record or in chambers meeting with any judge or with the prosecutor. That was his purpose for being.
In your experience as a criminal defense attorney, what has been your knowledge of the so-called grip, you might call it, that the state has had on a defendant who has not been found innocent, not been found guilty, at this point has not even gone to trial? Can you talk about the restrictions in your experience as a defense attorney with Michelle Troconis?
Well, let me start by emphasizing that a person is presumed innocent, so nobody has to be found innocent. She is innocent as a matter of law, right? Everyone who is simply charged with a crime is presumed innocent. So let me just correct you on that. So I have not been able to gather the information as to how many people in this state charged with very serious crimes, including murder, are on GPS. I don't know if, I'll use the Michael Skakel case as an example. It's pending in this courthouse. I don't know if he's on a GPS monitor. I don't know if he's on house arrest, but certainly he's charged with an actual murder. He actually had gone to trial at least once. He's back presumed innocent, but at least there was a finding based on evidence. And my understanding is that his restrictions are substantially less. I believe that these restrictions are more like punishment. And if they are, then they're getting a pound of flesh out of her just by these kind of pre-trial restrictions. And afterwards, I'll address it at the appropriate time. But like I said, we're abiding by the court orders. Now I have an actual order that I can go to the appellate court on. Last time they gave me the right to a hearing because they continued the case. Now I will go with the substantive argument. I've ordered the transcript, and we'll go from there.
Did I hear correctly, you're seeking records from the Dulos custody case, and what's the relevance to this?
There is a report, as I understand it, I haven't seen it, but I've spoken to individuals who are familiar with it, that there was a custody study done in the divorce case that was filed with the court that specifically, as far as I know, suggested that the wife of Fotis Dulos was not the appropriate custodian of those children. And that was filed sometime in early May of 2019. The state filed a warrant, a search warrant to the clerk's office to get that document. I don't know how many pages it is. I don't know what the conclusions exactly are. I know my client was interviewed for that study along with Mr. Dulos, along with numerous other individuals. And I believe that it's relevant then if for no other reason, to know what they say my client told them.
Mr. Sanders, can you comment on what exactly Michelle was doing when she leaned out of the car in that video? The memorandum said she was waving her hand on the ground. Why
Yes.
would she have done that?
She stated and again, this is the longer version of the interview on both I believe, if not on the first interview, at least on the second, maybe on the first interrogation on January 2nd, that she went along for the ride. She was on the phone and or texting with family and others. She was chewing gum. She tried to throw it out the window, got stuck on her finger, so she leaned forward to wipe it off. Wipe it off. When I read the...
So that one image that we saw on the video where she's leaning over and looks like she does something on the sidewalk, he's saying that that's what that was.
When I watch another video where the officers are talking with Mr. Colangelo, they state that she was picking gum off the ground. Again, there is no video that says that. I'll just note there's a whole bunch of helicopters in a row, so I don't know if maybe it's the president. They claimed in a statement to Mr. Colangelo, which is recorded, which I also have, that she was picking gum up off the ground. It seems to me they were trying to convince Mr. Colangelo that he should sign a warrant. That's what I'm assuming was the reason for them even misrepresenting the facts to State's Attorney Colangelo, who was present. He was present in the room. I think that's about it.
Can I thank you? Yeah.
Do you want to say something?
Yeah.
All right. This is Maricela. Your last name. Say your name.
Hi, I am Maricela. I'm Michelle's sister. I just
Michelle's
want to
sister.
reinforce that my sister is innocent and that I thank God for today's baby steps. I really thank him because I had the opportunity to come here and be together. We are a very united family and we will continue supporting her. Thank you, and again, God bless us.
Yes,
yes. Thank you.
Spell your name for the record, please.
Maricela Troconis.
And how do you spell Maricela?
M-A-R-I-S-E-L-A.
So her sister has been on other, has done other interviews and stuff. I can't remember if it was 48 Hours or Dateline or something like that, where she's also saying, she's innocent. Like, her family has, said this entire time, like, she would never do anything like this and all of that. Obviously, we've heard that from families before. But I'll be interested to see when all of the evidence comes out. That's why this trial is going to be so interesting, because we have access to a lot of stuff, but not to everything. And I'm curious to see what else comes out to really make that difference between the tampering with evidence and hindering prosecution to change it into the murder. And the biggest, or the conspiracy to commit murder, the biggest thing is going to be not the after the fact stuff, but anything before. Because if he tells her what's happening and she's helping him dispose of all this stuff or whatever, that would still be, tampering, maybe accessory after the fact, something to that nature. But the conspiracy part would be anything that happened before. So if they are able to prove that she helped to plan that whole alibi meeting in the morning where he answered the phone, or to, prove that she knew about all of this ahead of time, then that would be, how they could make this work. So I'll be curious to see what all information they have as far as that stuff goes. Let's see. It's going to be such an interesting case. This one's just so complicated. That's why I've spent so much time. It takes so much time to go through this one because there's so much stuff involved in it. But it's so...
All right,
Oops, go away. It's so interesting because there is so much stuff. I want to watch the interview that Fotis did. There's also one that... Hold on, let me pull it up. He did an interview with the local news station there. And I want to pull it up. We're going to watch that next. Part 1 is not on my page. It should be under videos. I'll look in a minute. It was there earlier. All right, let's see. All right, here we go. And I'm going to show y'all the house too. The house is like crazy.
I know, but...
Jennifer Dulos spoke...
All right. Oh, wait. There we go. All right, so this is the interview that he did with NBC in the New York channel or whatever. And I watched this a few days ago.
The spouse did it.
Mm-hmm. I know, but I know what I've done and I know what I haven't done. So I have to stand and fight and hope that the truth is going to come out.
51-year-old Fotis Dulos.
Hold on, I don't want to watch. I want the whole interview, not the one of them talking about the interview. Hold on, the one I watched earlier. Here we go. This is it. All right, let's try this again.
We're all very worried about Jennifer.
How do you think the public looks at you?
It depends. I think that the people that do not know me, they probably look at me as a monster.
As a monster?
Yes. And that is because of the information that has come out. And I
cannot speak about what happened. So they take the narrative that they see from the arrest warrants and what is being reported in the press, and they draw their own conclusions. So I've already been convicted in their mind.
What do you want people watching to know?
I want them to know that this is a very, very challenging time for my whole family, and we just have to be patient to get to the other side and see what happened.
Do you have any message for Jennifer's family?
Yes, I send my prayers. I had my differences with Jennifer, like many people do when they go through a marriage. It didn't work out for us, but that doesn't mean that I wish her ill in any way.
Where do you see this going for you?
I tried to go day by day. When it first started, I seriously pinched myself a couple of times, and I said, this cannot be true. I'm dreaming this. I'm wearing orange, and I'm in a
Okay, hold on. Just listen to.
cell. I see it didn't work out for us,
Listen
but that
to
doesn't
this.
mean that I wish her ill in any way.
Where do you see this going for you?
I tried to go day by day. When it first started, I seriously pinched myself a couple of times, and I said, this cannot be true. I'm dreaming this. I'm wearing orange, and I'm in a cell, 6 feet by 9 feet, and this cannot be true.
That whole answer was, I'm in a cell and I'm wearing orange and I'm doing this and I'm having to go through this. There was nothing about, like having to, like figure this out with his kids, or his kids missing their mom, or like it's all about like, I can't believe I'm in jail. I can't believe they caught me. That answer infuriates me.
So it's a day by day, hoping we'll get through this.
Do you think you've been treated fairly by the criminal justice system?
I do.
You do?
Yes. I think with the information they had, they did the best they could. And I understand they have tremendous pressure on them. And it's also statistically, when something like this happens, 90 or 95% is the spouse. So I can understand why people feel like this.
And your answer to that is?
What's the
when
question?
people say yes, 90% of the time it is the spouse.
Well,
What's
it's
your-
90%, it's not 100%.
So when people-
I'm in the 5 or 10% category.
So yeah, because people automatically say, "Oh yeah," people say the spouse did it.
Mm-hmm. I know, but I know what I've done and I know what I haven't done. So I have to stand and fight and hope that the truth is going to come out.
Do you have any thoughts about that, about her disappearance or what's happened?
I do, but I'd rather not speak about them today.
But at some point.
Some point.
Before she disappeared, what was your relationship with Jennifer?
As you know, we were in a very contentious divorce that was fueled by her attorneys.
Were you speaking on the phone?
We're speaking on the phone, yes.
And it was cordial.
And we also met a couple of times when we would have drop-offs for the kids. Yes, it was very cordial. 2 days before she disappeared, she invited me to play basketball at her house with the kids. And I did.
You're not allowed to have contact with the children at all.
I do not.
How is that for you?
It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. This is a very tough time. I'm sure they have a lot of questions. I'm sure they're missing their mom, and I'm sure they're missing their dad. And I'm here, and I will be able to support them and help them through this time.
Talk to me a little bit about that, about the emotional toll of not having your children and not being able to contact them.
It's hard to describe. I think only if you live through this, you can understand what it is. I wake up every day and I feel like somebody's sitting on me, on my chest. It's terrible not to have your children. I don't think anything compares to it.
When people speculate that you wanted Jennifer out of the way, how do you respond to that?
Well, that's ludicrous because I never wanted Jennifer out of the way. Even if I could, get sole custody, I would still not take it because I would want my children to have a relationship with their mother.
You wanted
because I
them.
care about the children.
But that is interesting that, because the perception is contentious, ugly divorce and a motive clearly to do something.
Mm-hmm. My motive has been for the past 2 years to move on with my life. I have 5 beautiful children. I had Michelle, and I had a profession that I loved.
You and Michelle are not to be in contact.
Yeah. I think when you love somebody, you have to respect and accept what's best for them. And if her legal team believes that that's best for her, then I have to accept it, and vice versa.
You still love her?
Of course.
Do you believe she loves you?
I think so.
Do you think you'll ever be back together?
I would hope so.
Are you worried that there may be more charges?
Again, of course I'm worried. This is a very scary experience. I have to stand and fight and hope that the truth is going to come out.
Yeah, everybody prays for Jennifer to find Jennifer, and the kids have 2 parents that they need them.
It's just a tragedy. It makes me sad because, like I said, I've been very close to the entire family for almost 12 years now. So it's not easy to look at it from the distance. So I hope it gets resolved and things fall back into place.
Thank you for watching this video from NBC4 New York.
So it is frustrating to hear him talking because he does that whole thing where he's like making it out to be like, he's just being targeted and, prayers for her family and all of this. And knowing what we know about how much evidence there was against him and seeing him, seeing how much it was. Because keep in mind, put together his entire thing, the full comprehensive amount of evidence. Yes, he unalived himself. He was out on bond or out on bail and broke a bunch of rules. Shocker. They did an emergency bond or emergency bail hearing, so he had to report to court that day, and they were going to basically put him in jail again because he had violated his terms of bail. And instead of showing up, he went into his garage and he had put vacuum hose or whatever with carbon monoxide, and he left a note saying that he couldn't stand to do another day in jail for something he didn't do. But look at the comprehensive amount of evidence against him. You have the day before this happened, he had told Powell that worked for him, the project manager that worked for him, he told him, hey, go ahead and just take my truck and go straight to work in the morning. Because Powell had his own Tacoma. He had a Tacoma. He would drive back and forth to work. And then during the day when he was going to the other stuff, he would drive one of the company vehicles. So he told him, hey, go ahead and take my truck tonight, leave your Tacoma. And I'll, I've got a meeting in the morning. So go ahead and go straight to work. Don't come to my house. Don't come to the office. Go straight to work. So he did. So that gave him access to the Tacoma. Then he tells him even before that. So he has access to the Tacoma. He's seen on video, like in between video and phone data and all of that. He gets up super early in the morning. He goes to that. I believe, if I remember right, that the Tacoma was left at the Mountain Springs house, the one that he had been working on. So he gets the Tacoma, he drives the Tacoma to 70 miles south, where he's living or whatever, to New Canaan. He parks a few miles away. I think it's like somewhere around 3 or 4 miles away at Waveney Park. He parks right there. He has his bike, it's got those ram horn handlebars, so it's easy to spot on camera. It's caught on camera. He has his bike in the back of the truck, so he parks this Tacoma. He bikes the rest of the way there. He's seen on camera biking. He attacks Jennifer when she gets home from dropping the kids off. That's just after 8 o'clock. At 10:25, he's seen pulling, or the Suburban is seen pulling out, and they believe he's driving. So in between that time is when he had to have killed her, and then there were attempts to clean everything up. There were 10 rolls of paper towels missing because they had just bought a 12 pack. Laurel said they had just bought a 12 pack the day before, and there were only 2 rolls left. So there were 10 rolls of paper towels missing. There were cleaning supplies missing. There were camper pillows that were in the garage that were missing. So there's all kinds of stuff that where he had tried to clean it up, and all of that was missing. So he pulls out at 10:25 in the Suburban, takes the Suburban, which is found right by where right by where the Tacoma was seen. The Suburban is found. The transmission is still in reverse, and the running lights are on. There's nobody in it or around it, and it's found. I can't remember exactly what it was. Like, I think I have it on the video. It's like within 100 feet of where the Tacoma was. There was blood spatter there was blood in the passenger seat of the Suburban, and there ended up being blood in the Tacoma seat, the original seat. So at some point there was transferred, something. And he had her like zip tied and stuff like that. They found that. So he gets her from the Suburban, transfers his bike and her into the Tacoma, and then the Tacoma is seen going back toward his house. He gets there. He gets to the Mountain Spring house. He calls Michelle. Michelle ends up coming over there, and then his phone location shows that he's there the whole time. She's making a bunch of, she's driving back and forth. She's seen on camera, her car coming in and out, driving back and forth. And then Powell shows up to get his Tacoma at the house. His Tacoma's not there. He's like, okay, well, I'll just go get my key where it's normally at. So he goes to the office or whatever to get the key where it's normally left for him to take his car, and it's not there. So he calls. They're not answering. He goes to one of the other houses that they had been working on, not there. So he shows up at the Mountain Springs house. He pulls up and he says, they seemed like surprised to see me. So he pulls up there. He's wanting to, get his keys and go. Now keep in mind, this is a holiday weekend. This is the Friday before Memorial Day. So this is a holiday weekend. He's ready to get his keys and go. He's got plans. And it ends up being a whole nother back and forth here because he doesn't have the key, and the key was there and now it's gone. And now Michelle has to bring them the key, and all this stuff. So he finally is able to, and he was like, Fotis was like, just take my truck. Still didn't want him to have his Tacoma. And he was like, no, it's, holiday weekend. I'm going to be traveling with my dirt bike. I want to take mine. So he ends up getting his key. Michelle has to bring the key, and then he goes. Over that weekend, Fotis talks to him and tells him that Jennifer has gone missing. I think it was like on Saturday or Sunday. And then obviously they're off work Monday because of the holiday. So Tuesday he comes back into work, and then Fotis is like, where were you on Friday? And he's like, dude, you know where I was on Friday. I was working. Of course he knows where he was working because he's the one who has him working here. Like, he knows where he was at. So he said, Fotis is like, okay, well, I need to see your phone. So I need to see if you called me at all during that day. So he gives Fotis his phone. Fotis deletes his call history for that time period. He deletes his entire search history and all this other stuff. Like, there's all this deleted stuff from his phone. He ends up telling him too that's on Tuesday. On Wednesday, he goes to work. Powell goes out, does his thing. He comes back, and once again, his Tacoma's gone. He's like, hey, where's my Tacoma? He calls Fotis, and Fotis is like, I took it to the car wash. I'm on the way back. There's video of Fotis going to the car wash. Michelle follows him. He drops it off. He paid $250 cash to have it detailed. He is also seen getting cash out of the ATM so that he can go pay to have this Tacoma detailed. And he, on the log thing, he gives his phone number for them to call and say it's done, but he leaves the name blank. If anybody who's ever had like a car or anything dropped off, like, would you leave that part blank? wouldn't you want your name on there to be like, if this was anyway. So, but he doesn't want anything to trace him back. So, but he does put his phone number on there. So they call him, tell him it's ready. He goes and picks it up. So he's on the way back. He tells Powell, like, yeah, I'm on the way back. He gets there and he tells him, you need to replace those seats. Like, you need to replace the seat. Get rid of it. Put it somewhere that nobody will ever find it, and replace those seats. And also, anytime we talk about the seats from now on the phone, don't call them seats. Let's call it the hardware. Okay? When you're using code words and telling somebody to replace their seats so that nobody ever finds it, that's a big red flag. Big red flag. But that's what he does. He tells them replace the seats. Don't call them seats. Anytime we talk about it, just call it hardware. And so he starts kind of pushing him. He's like, why are you asking me to replace a seat? Why are you asking me to, like, why are you taking my car to get it detailed? What's going on? And he's like, no, nothing. Nothing happened. Look at Lucy. Little floozy. He's like, nothing happened. And so then he finally tells him that the reason he wanted him to get it replaced was because he had gone over to Jennifer's that week, or like Mother's Day or something, and that he hugged her, and then he also held the cat, and he's like, I just don't want them to, find a hair or something in there. He's like, okay, so then why wouldn't I just clean the seat instead of having to replace it? But whatever, he ends up replacing the seat, but he doesn't get rid of them because he's like, this sounds suspicious. Red flags are flying. So he holds on to the seats in case the police ever need them. And when police ended up coming to take his truck, he even told them, like, unprompted, he's like, that's not the seat that was in there. Y'all take the truck if you need to. That's not the seat that was in there. The seats that were in there are over here in my garage. And he tells them, without them prompting. And sure enough, there was blood. Jennifer's DNA was on that seat that he had taken out. And then, of course, there's the video footage of them dumping all of the stuff. Michelle's DNA is in there. Fotis's DNA is in there. So there's a lot of evidence against him. And for him to get on there and be like, oh, prayers for, her family. I don't know what happened. It's like, really? Now, one of the stories that they used to try to explain away why he was dumping that stuff is that somebody had framed him and dumped those bloody clothes on his porch. And instead of calling the police, he had to go around and do his, dumpster tour 2019 and dump all of these things in 30 different locations along Albany Avenue in Hartford. It's just, it's not looking good for him. Well, it didn't look good for him, I should say. Or her, or Michelle. And that's another thing, too. That's what's going to be so interesting about this, is hearing everything against Michelle, because there's tons of evidence against Fotis, obviously. But it's going to be the most interesting to hear what evidence is against Michelle that we haven't heard yet. It's going to be a lot. I'm interested to see. This is going to be a lot. But I want to try to go into, there ain't no doubt Fotis did it. Like, done and over. He did it. What I want to go into this with a open mind about is, did Michelle know beforehand, or did she just find out after? And that's what I want to try to keep a very open mind about with this case, because she obviously, going around to all these different trash cans and stuff like that, and lying about the alibi and all of that. You don't do that unless, again, red flags. But I'm curious if this is she, felt obligated to do this because I mean, even then, I wouldn't feel obligated to cover up for murder, but I don't know. Like if she panicked and, thought she was going to cover for him or whatever, if she was scared of him too, whatever the case was. But I'm curious to see what all comes out and see how much she knew beforehand. That'll be really interesting. So, her charges, originally just the tampering with or fabricating evidence and hindering an investigation, but they added on the conspiracy to commit murder charge for her as well. So, hindering prosecution. Did I say investigation? I don't know what I just said, but, the alibi thing is the biggest point of this. And so they were talking about having, immunity for a coworker of Fotis to testify. So that is, I'm assuming, going to be Powell with the Tacoma, so we'll hear all about him. And he helped the police. Like, he handed over his phone voluntarily. He's the one that told them about the, the seat that had been changed when they came and took the truck. He's like, those aren't the seats that were in there. It's over here. They did a few really long interviews with him, and it was the first two were like 8 hours each. The third one, he had an attorney with him, and apparently Fotis was trying to like make him scared to talk to police too. He was like, you could get in trouble because you only have a green card. Like, so maybe you shouldn't talk to him. So he had the red flags were flying for him. He had the smarts to know, like, this math ain't mathin', and he had an attorney with him, and he talked to them. So he got immunity for anything that he could have been, charged with, as far as like, anything to do with the truck. Like, it just, if, not telling in time or whatever, not telling in time is not a charge, but you know what I mean? Like, anything that, like, he protected himself in that third interview, and he told everything. But there was something else too. There was something else that was important from him that came, and I can't remember what it was. Or maybe I don't remember. Maybe I'm remembering something else. And then we also have the other people that are expected to testify. We'll have the Laurel, the friend, like the longtime friend / nanny. She's the one who said that she went to the house at 11:30. She knew that the car that she took, or the car that was missing was the Suburban, and she's like, she never would have taken that to the city. She's the one who told police about the 12 paper towels they had stocked last night, and now there was only 2. She saw her purse that was like on the floor in between the mudroom and the kitchen or something, and so there was like a lot of details. She's a quick one. She is a quick one. She noticed a lot of details, so that's awesome too, because that was able to, the more details that people in the situation are able to give, the better. But that was good for police. That helped police. And then of course we'll see all the footage. We'll see who else is going to be testifying. I wonder if the people from the barbecue will. I'm not sure. He had I think his name was Hutch, if I remember right. Maybe Hutch. He had a barbecue, and Fotis and Michelle showed up, and he was like, I don't think you should be here, since Jennifer's missing and everything. And then update on another case I'm following. But anyway, he said that there was like breaking news that the police were going along Albany Avenue, collecting the bags that were, they believed were connected to the disappearance, and that, they're now thinking it's a murder. And all that breaking news was happening while he was at the barbecue. And he said that he saw Fotis watch that breaking news video thing and then look up at Michelle, and he said that like they kind of like made eye contact, and then he walked away and made a phone call to what he believes was his attorney. So Lucy, to bits, girl. Lucy thinks this is OnlyFans. So anyway, there's a lot of twists and turns in this. The Gone Girl stuff. Let's find that. Let's watch that. Let's see. I want to find that. Where is it? Oh, there's some court appearances and stuff too that we have that we can watch if y'all want to. Gosh, there's... Oh, Inside Edition has some stuff too. I didn't see that. I'm trying to find the clip that I saw before. Fotis Dulos.
Estranged husband of missing Connecticut.
All right, hold on. This is... Oops.
Wife's family. They say that he did not repay nearly $2 million.
Oh, this is talking about the civil case that he was in for not repaying her mom.
The lawsuit was filed more than a year before Jennifer Dulos vanished in May. Now, there is a gag order in this case, but Fotis Dulos had this to say outside of court late this afternoon.
All I want to say is that I wish Jennifer and her family happy holidays. And I just pray that they give my kids my love and my best wishes.
That's not the one I was looking for. Hold on. Let me find it. Hold on. Oh, is this it? All right, let's try this. Look, I'm getting better at using my buttons. Look at me go.
Any comments regarding today's hearing? That's it?
I just want to say that I love my children. I miss them.
Broken family court system.
And I think about them all the time. That's all.
Dad's lives matter.
He just said Dad's lives matter. Whoever was hollering. His attorney zipped his lips like, I ain't saying nothing. I ain't talking. I mean, there's really nothing he could have said that would have helped either. But that's not what I was looking for. Hold on, let me find it. Let's see. Where is it? What's that attorney's name? Help me out. I can't remember his... Oh, and I saw that, I don't know who was screaming. It didn't show him on camera. I saw that news this morning where they officially declared Jennifer dead. Norm Pattis, that's it. Norm Pattis. Let me see if I can find this interview. It's not letting me pull it up. Let's see. There was... Oh, is this it? I'm going to find it. Controversial lawyer representing the estranged husband, Jennifer Dulos, suggested that the missing mother of 5 may have orchestrated her own Gone Girl-esque disappearance. Holly Mack gifted 5 memberships. Thank you, Holly Mack. Lindsay Lewis, Karina Bowman, Idaho Mom, Donna E, Miss BZ were all gifted memberships. Thank you so much, Holly Mack. I appreciate it. You're the best. You're the best. Yeah, he represented Alex Jones too. Well, it's not showing. I can't find the video, but here, I'll show you what I'm reading. It says the video cannot be played, but this is why they started calling it like the real life Gone Girl, because he started suggesting that that's what this was. He even said that she wrote a novel with the exact script, which is not, from what I've been able to find, not really accurate. So I haven't been able to find anything about her. Now, the friend that I saw that did hear or watch her, read, get your words together, Brandi. The one who did read some of her script said that it wasn't like a Gone Girl type thing. But it was about, I think she said about being, in a bad marriage or, abusive marriage or something like that. I can't remember what exactly she said, but something, along those lines. But she said it wasn't like, her plotting out what's going to happen and what she's going to do or how she's going to frame him or anything like that. And also with that much blood that showed up and all the evidence against him, it's kind of hard to say like, oh, she did this to frame him, because she didn't frame him into driving along to 30 different trash cans, getting rid of her bloody clothes. So that theory doesn't really hold up, but whatever. So she disappeared, estranged husband Fotis, charged with evidence tampering. So in a bizarre, he made it to New York Post. In a bizarre claim made to the New York Post, Pattis said that Jennifer once wrote a book manuscript with a similar plot to Gillian Flynn's 2012 novel Gone Girl. That novel, which was also turned into a movie, is about a writer who fakes her own death to frame her husband. Pattis admits that he never read the supposed 500-page manuscript penned by the missing woman, but said this is a person who has a pretty florid imagination and motives to use it to hurt Mr. Dulos. Be Kind Tiger just gifted 5 memberships. Thank you so much, Be Kind Tiger. Thank you. Angela Morgan, Gina Farley, Jen Conley, ADHD coach. Lord, I need one of those. Jen Conley, ADHD coach. Lily, Polly, and Brown Eyes were all gifted memberships by Be Kind Tiger. Thank you, Be Kind Tiger. Thank you. I bet Jen Conley, ADHD coach, watches me and is like, oh, get it together. My ADHD is bad. It's real bad. That's okay. We're dealing with it. We're living with it. So anyway, the part about him saying, basically like accusing her of framing him, is really infuriating too, because it's one of those things that's just so insulting to her family. Like, she was the victim of a violent murder, and for them to be like, oh, she has the motives to just do this to try to hurt him. That's infuriating. If I were, like, I'm mad and I'm not even her family. If I were that family and I heard that, I would be like, I wouldn't be well behaved. I'll say that. If they were saying something like that about my family, who was a victim of such a violent end, and had lived such a great life and done so much, like, and had such a positive impact on people, and for them to try to tarnish that to get him out of trouble, that's BS. That's BS. I'd be mad. I'd be so mad. So mad. But, that's why some defense attorneys get a bad name, right? So, and I love that in this article they call it bizarre. In a bizarre claim, so let's see. An unnamed family source told the New York Post that she read the manuscript nearly 2 decades ago, and it has nothing in common with Gone Girl. Jennifer's novel, like most of her writing, has at its core a search for a connection and loving relationship, for being understood and accepted as one's true self. So yeah, there's the friend saying, it had nothing to do with Gone Girl, or setting up her abusive, estranged husband for for her murder. And really, she's just hiding out, hoping he gets arrested. Like, that's stupid. Pat has made even more inflammatory claims, claiming that Jennifer, quote, struggled with heroin her whole life. That she once had a relationship with a person who would import heroin from Cambodia. That she suffered severe psychiatric problems. And that she even once disappeared from New York and lived for years under a false name after an intrafamilial dispute about money. Again, I would be pissed. Like, that's the kind of stuff that people say and get sued over. Like, Anne Dran-Guinness, an attorney for Jennifer Dulos' family, told the New York Post that the shocking claims are a classic act of desperation to slander the victim. And that's true. That's literally trying to just slander her. I think that there's nothing more infuriating, and trust me, I know. There's nothing more infuriating than being accused of something that's total BS in an attempt to hurt your reputation. I think it's crap. If I were her family, I'd be pissed. Like, last time Jennifer was seen, and the psychiatric problems, by the way, like, she was on antidepressants. That's something that Fotis had used against her, but that's not psychiatric problems. Like, antidepressants are not psychiatric problems. These people. All the more reason we want her to get justice. She filed for divorce from her husband in 2017 after 13 years of marriage. We went over all of this in my history lesson. Let's see. Fotis and Troconis were seen on video disposing of garbage bags with the bloody clothing. Pattis disputes that it was 30 bags, and he said it was more like 2. There may have been 30 stops, he said. Now, keep in mind, we haven't been able to see the entire video footage. They released pieces of it. So we haven't been able to see the entire footage. So we'll see it during trial, of course, but I'm curious to see how much how much he stopped at each of the 30 things, like what he put out at them. I know that the missing liner from the Suburban was one of the things that was on video, where he's on video putting that by the trash can, and that was one of the things they found. So crazy, right? Let's see. The search for Jennifer reached its grim month-long anniversary. So her family released a statement saying the situation is real and it's dire. Each passing day intensifies the impact of this tragedy on Jennifer's children who have not seen their mother, the guiding presence in their life. I hate this for those children. I cannot imagine how difficult that would be, to not only lose their mom in such a horrible way, but, their dad is gone too now. Like, that's awful. Her mom, Jennifer's mom, took custody of the kids. So, so awful. So awful. But yeah, this is going to be a crazy one, y'all. We've, and that's why I wanted for us to spend so much time going over all the background stuff too, because if we just go into the trial without knowing much about it, it's going to be, a little bit harder to, it's going to be a little bit harder just because there is so much behind the scenes stuff. There's so much that has gone on in this case, and so much that makes it so crazy. And so I wanted us to kind of, to know all of that going in, so it makes it a little bit easier. Some of the ones that we've gone into where it's kind of like those in-between trials, the ones that I'm not doing the deep dives on, that we're all just kind of watching together. Some of those, it has been, and it could be me because I have ADHD, but it's hard sometimes watching those and concentrating enough. It could be a mixture of the ADHD plus trying to do it while I'm running the stream and engage with y'all and answer questions and do all of this, because I know that I miss stuff when I'm doing all of that stuff together. But some of those, it's really hard to follow. So, but even without all of that, on some trials that I watch, not knowing anything going into it, sometimes it's hard to follow those opening statements. Look at the one that we watched with Maricello. We had to go back and make a chart because we were like, wait, what? Like who was who, and who was having a throuple, and who was married, but they were, having tiki hut moments on the side with this one. Like what was happening? When you have a bunch of names and a bunch of stuff happening at once, it can be hard to keep it all together when you're hearing it for the first time. So this way we'll go into it and we'll be, 13 jurors are going to be prepared. And I'm excited about it. It's going to be a time that I know Jennifer's, family and friends have waited on for a long time. This is, the final step toward getting, getting justice for her and closing this specific chapter so that they can, try to start the healing process that goes beyond this. So, they never found what was in all the trash bags he dumped all over town. Yes, they did. They did. They went through and were able to find all of that stuff. It's in the, I put it in the first video, but it was like there was zip ties and that had her blood on it. There were her bloody clothes. There was like sponges and stuff like that that had blood on it. Paper towels, but a bunch of stuff that was really, had basically showed exactly what happened. I still don't. Her body was never found, and that's one of the things that I think is the worst. I wish that if dude's going to off himself, okay, but for the sake of your children who don't know where their mom's body is, that's what should have been on his note. Not, I can't stand to do another day in jail for something I didn't do. Oh, shut up. Where's the body? That's what we want to know. It was like that last little selfish thing that he could have done. Making it about him instead of, because look, did that note raise your hand if that note convinced you that he didn't do it? Right, exactly. I act like I can see y'all raising your hand, but I know I don't have to be able to see you to know that you're not raising your hand. That little note did nothing other than piss us all off. What he should have written on that note was, I am so sorry to my children for ruining, like what could have been, a much simpler life without having to deal with all this trauma. I'm so sorry for taking the life of their mother, and this is what I did, so that you can have that, at least that part of, you know, closure and find her remains or whatever. And, you know, I'm sorry. But instead it was, I just can't do it. I can't go back to jail. Blech. Not a fan. Not a Fotis fan. Oh, let me show you this. Oh, let me show you this. This house, y'all. This house. It's redonkulous. Hold on, let me show you. I'm going to pull up the real estate listing. Okay. Get rid of Lucy for a second. Let me make myself smaller so you can see. This is the house that they lived in. Now, this is one of the ones that Fotis built, and he was living in there with them. They used to do that when he was building the houses. You know, he would build these spec homes and like these mega mansions, and then they would live in them sometimes until they sold, like as a way to, I guess, save money or whatever. And but this is one of the ones that he built, but it's huge. Look how big that thing is. It's really pretty. I mean, this makes me think too of that whole thing where they said that in one of the court filings, Jennifer had said that Fotis told her when she said she was, you know, I can't remember what it was. And one of the things, like maybe it was when she was leaving or when she was talking about holidays or something, he was like, oh yeah, you and the kids are going to stay in the house with me and Michelle's daughter, on weekends and holidays and summer or whatever it was. Like it was all just one big old happy family. Like, but then I look at this house and I'm like, well, maybe they wouldn't have even run into each other, you know? It's really pretty. I still wouldn't be living there with, like, you know, with my husband's mistress. And I never had to live with my husband's mistress. Lucky me. Look at that kitchen, though. Isn't that pretty? Huge house. But I guess, like, he did a great job on building these crazy houses. But her dad was the one that was financing this. So her dad would buy the land and then he would pay for the construction. And then when the house sold, Fotis would pay him you know, with interest until he didn't. That's really pretty too. There was... Yeah, anytime I see a big house, that's the first thing I think about is like, oh my God, I don't want to clean all that. But yeah, if you got a house this size, you ain't the one cleaning it, I'm guessing. But I'm just looking at that thinking like, oh, dang, that's a lot to clean. Like, that's one of the things I love about living in my tiny itty bitty little one-room condo, because I can have this sucker cleaned in no time. This part's really cool too. Look at this. It has a big old wine. I don't like these drawers. It reminds me of a morgue. You know, like the morgues have or not the morgue. Is it the morgue where they keep the dead bodies? Yeah. Where they pull out I don't like that. That's what that reminds me of. Upstairs kitchen. See, I mean, I guess you could like have multiple families living here and like each have your own. Where's this? Oh, here it is. Look at this big old wine bar cellar. Not wine bar, wine cellar. Isn't that crazy? It's beautiful. I have a little wine bar and mine has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Mine has like 6 places. So I can fit 6 bottles. And this one has like room for a lot more than 6. But outdoor kitchen. Fire pit, built-in fire pit. I mean, it's beautiful. But yeah, I mean, they, you know, that goes to show you, you can have all the money in the world and all the things in the world, and it don't make you happy. Crazy. Steve, hey, I'm late, but I want to tell you, I watched your part 1 and it was so good. You were genuinely so good. Anyway, sending love and looking forward to catching up. Thank you so much. I think I am going to record a part 2 because I've got everything already together. The recording part doesn't take that long, so I'll try to record a part 2. I wanted to go over it with y'all today in person, though, because I miss y'all. I miss y'all. I wanted to actually do a live today and be able to hang out with you before trial starts tomorrow. But I might go ahead and record the part 2 just to have everything like in a very linear thing. Since I've already got it all kind of ready, it won't take long to do that. But it's on, if you go to YouTube, it's on, if you click on videos, it's the very first video that shows up. And it's everything up until the arrest on June 1st. So I'm trying to think, is there anything else that we missed, or any other of the stuff that y'all wanted to see today? Verdict for William Hamilton. Is that the cold case? Hold on. Let me pull it up. We can watch it. Wait, are any of my friends covering it? I don't want to. I don't want to steal someone's thunder if they've been covering it. I know RA's not. I know Mel's not. Let's see. Verdict Teresa Black murder trial. Have they gone yet? Oh, here.
He just stepped out though, but it looked like he wanted to say something, so.
Yes, Your Honor, would you like me to check on?
Yeah, why don't you do that? Okay.
Oh, Grizzly's streaming it. Here, I can send us to her. I don't like, if somebody's put a lot of time into streaming something, I don't want to like jump in and take over their take over their stuff. And Grizzly's awesome. So we can send. I think I'm pretty much done here for today anyway. I'm going to try to let me redirect y'all real quick, and I'll send you, we can go raid Grizzly and watch the verdict with her live. And then I will try to get, oh, they already did it. Oops. Okay, I wasn't fast enough. Dang it! I was going to try to support her. Wasn't fast enough. Do you hear that banging? They're banging on something downstairs. Oh well, I wasn't fast enough. All right, I think that's pretty much it for today, though. Do we have anything else that we were going to go over? I think that I have been trying, my kid has been convincing me to try to do more TikToks, and he has promised he will help me. So I am going to try to put some of this information on TikTok too. I hate TikToks. I hate a lot of things I don't know how to do, and that's my problem. So I'm going to learn to love it. We're going to learn to love it. So I'm going to try to put like a little TikTok version of this too. My kid's going to help me this evening with that. But I have got a few things I need to get done, and then I'm going to go see what I can do in the area. My mom and I are going to go see if we can help some of the cleanup efforts with the tornado stuff and take sandwiches to the linemen and first responders, and or not first responders, but the linemen and the police officers and all of that stuff. So I've got a few things I need to get done this afternoon like that. But the kids with the TikTok, the kids and their TikTok. I know I've just, it's not been my thing. But also, I didn't even know how to work YouTube, and then all of a sudden I had a channel. So, I mean, I guess it's not your thing until it is. So, I told him, I was like, I'll make it. I ain't reading the comments, but I'll make it. I'll make the TikTok. I'll put them out there, but I ain't gonna read the comments. You can't make me do that. So, but you know, whatever. All right. So let me see who is live that we can go support. Is RA live? Yep, RA is live. And Grizzly's live. But if they just did the verdict, then she's probably about to be done. We'll redirect to RA. We'll go raid RA and say hello. All right, y'all. I appreciate it. I'm glad that we got to hang out today for a little bit and get some time together. I appreciate Brandi clogging on TikTok. No. No more clogging. Too old for that. All right, y'all. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I'm really looking forward to trial tomorrow. I think it starts at 10 Eastern. So, and what I'm going to do, because I know that there's going to be a lot of people who join us who did not watch the stuff leading up to it. So what we're going to do is we'll probably start a little bit early. Maybe start like 30 minutes early. And that way we can kind of hang out for a minute, kind of, you know, talk and all that. And then we will, I'll probably do like a very short Cliff's Notes version of what's going on, because I know all the people that didn't watch all of the stuff intro into it are going to join and be like, what's this trial about? And that way I can be like, rewind to the very beginning, and that's, you'll get that thing. That way I don't have to repeat myself a million times tomorrow. So that'll be helpful. But I'm going to redirect. Sorry. I'm going to redirect to RA. But if it starts at, what did I say, 10 o'clock Eastern tomorrow? Then we'll probably start about 9:30. We'll do that. We'll start about half an hour before. And that'll give us time to get it going. So this is going to be, I'm glad we were able to go over all this stuff. I will, when I get back this afternoon, I'll try to get that second half recorded just to have it all together in two parts. And then if I don't get it done, then I don't get it done. But I'll try. And then otherwise, I will see y'all bright and early tomorrow. We'll do 9:30 Eastern is the plan. And I'll set up the stream in just a few minutes. So that way you can hit notify me on your stuff. Oh, and to give y'all a quick update too, my subscriber count right now, we are at 4,479. So we only need 521 more to get to 15,000. That's really cool, right? That's really cool. We're growing. I love that. All right, y'all, I'm going to redirect to RA. So all hands, feet, ponytails inside the portal. I appreciate you all hanging out with me today. Thank you so much. You truly, truly make my day. And look at Miss Bedhead waking up. And I will see y'all tomorrow, 9:30 Eastern for the trial.